Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the books I hope I can get to before the end of 2025, so I guess you could say my end of the year TBR. I feel like I've done pretty well with setting end of the year TBRs in the past, but I'm definitely a big mood reader, so I feel like it'll be hard for me to follow, and to be honest, these are more just hopefuls and suggestions of what I want to read for the end of the year, the last couple months, because I'm currently in school, so the end of this semester is definitely going to kick my butt. So it'll kind of just depend on how that goes, but I have a lot of books on this list I'm excited to talk about and just excited to read in general, so let's get started. So the first book is one I actually don't own yet because it has not been released, so this is an ARC I received from NetGalley. It's called To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. It's a dystopian romance and it comes out March 3rd, 2026, so not long into the year. But I really like to read it early just because I did get the ARC and I'm trying to be better about actually reading and reviewing the ARCs I receive. But for a brief synopsis about what this is about, it says, enter the brutal world of Enlock, a prison where the wealthy hunt the inmates for sport. The first novel in an electrifying dystopian romance series, this high-octane debut about forbidden love, found family, and a fight for survival will leave you breathless. In the city of Davidium, the law is simple. Commit a crime and your punishment is life sentence in Enlock. Raven Thorne is Davidium's most notorious bounty hunter, living on the edge of society. But when her younger brother Jed is sentenced to Enlock, Raven will do anything to save him, even if it means getting herself arrested. Now trapped in prison where danger lurks her in every corner, Raven must use all her cunning and strength to protect Jed, and herself if she is to complete her perilous mission. But there's one obstacle she never expected, the prison guard who stirs something deep inside her, the man she should hate, the man whose true motives seem impossible to pin down. In a world where trust is a weapon and love is a liability, Raven must decide if she will risk everything to tear down a vicious system. Yeah, this concept sounds really intriguing. I've never read a book that's a prison setting before. Yeah, I've read characters in prison, but where the whole book takes place like that and then they hunt the inmates, that's so unique and also really dark. It definitely reminds me of Hunger Games. And I'm also intrigued by the romance in this because I have this issue with dystopian books where if they don't feel dystopian enough and they talk more about the romance than the actual political and kind of commentary that the dystopian setting is supposed to give, I feel kind of weird about it. That's why I didn't read that Silver Elite book. It just didn't really sound like it would do the job it was meant to do. So I have really high hopes for this book and I have heard great things from other early reviewers. So I'm looking forward to starting that one for sure. And next I'll jump into a couple of the sequels that I'm excited for, just because they are ones that I'm highly anticipating. I've been thinking about continuing these series for so long. So the first one is actually my most anticipated release of the year, or for the rest of the year. Truly, nothing is more important to me than this book right now. I'm itching to get my hands on it. When it comes on my front porch, I'm dropping everything and I'm reading that book. But that's the sequel to Heavenly Bodies by Amani Ariu, which is Fallen Stars. This comes out on November 7th, November 6th or 7th, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but is the continuation of this series. I'm actually currently re-listening to the audiobook for Heavenly Bodies just so I can refresh my memory and be good to go, because I did kind of forget a lot, and there were changes I think in the indie version to the traditional version, so I want to be fully up to date before I jump into book 2. So I won't give much away about the plot, obviously, because it hasn't been released yet and it is a sequel. I feel like that's a disservice if I just tell you everything that happens. But this world is inspired by the zodiac, so it is ruled by the stars. There are monarchs for each kingdom, but each kingdom also has a patron star, which is the god. And so the main character, Alara, there is a prophecy foretold about her that she will fall in love with the star and it will kill them both. And so the god of the stars, named Ariet, believes this prophecy is about him, and he takes Alara's kingdom hostage, and she's fleeing to her enemy kingdom of Helios, where she is kind of held hostage but also trained in her power to defeat Ariet by her enemy Lorenzo, the prince of Helios. So that's just a brief synopsis, but truly Heavenly Bodies is my favorite, one of my favorite fantasy books I've ever read, and I highly recommend it. So the next sequel is also a copy I don't physically own yet. It is the second book in the Shepherd King duology. So the first book is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. The second one is Two Twisted Crowns. Really, I was itching to get my hands on book 2 after I finished this one in July, but I was on a book buying ban and I still am. I'm really trying to be better about my book buying habits, but I feel like it's given me good momentum. When I do eventually get to Twisted Crowns, like I will be so ready to read it because I love this book so much. This was another 5-star read for me and I absolutely loved it. And I've heard great things about the sequel. I've heard that it's way more like action-packed. We go into like some side character backstories and it's just way better than the first one, even though I did love the first one. I'm so excited to see what I think. Another sequel I'm excited for is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This is the second book in the Red Rising series, which I read the first one in March of this year, I believe. And yeah, this is a sci-fi series, which I hadn't really read many sci-fi books before, except I like read half of Dune and then I haven't finished it. But I loved Red Rising. It was definitely a very good time and I can see why a lot of people like it. This series though is just so well loved and there's like a lot of diehard fans and I just want to be one of them too. Like I really just want to know why everyone loves this series and says it's so heartbreaking. Like I want to experience that as well. So I'm really excited to start this. I've really been thinking about it a lot. I thought about dropping my entire TBR for 1 month and just reading this, but I did not do that. But I have a feeling that this one is going to be super filled of tension and I don't know if I'm ready. I am, but I don't know. So another book that I'm very excited to get to is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. I actually ordered a copy of this book, but I think it got lost in the mail. So I don't have one for you. You're just gonna have to look at this. Hopefully I do receive it. I'm trying to sort that out. But yeah, I've heard great things about this series. It did get picked up for traditional publishing very recently, which is great for the author, but I wanted to like read the indie copy. I kind of just want to see what everyone thinks because it is like popular, but it's not like super mainstream. Like it's not very talked about, even though like a lot of people have read it before in the spaces I follow. And honestly, I don't know much about this series at all. I think it follows the main character named Lauren, whose friend goes missing, and she has to like team up with this group of, I don't know if they're necessarily vigilantes, but like they're not the best type of people. They're kind of like a, not rebel group, but kind of like bad boy group. I don't know how to convey that. And so she has to team up with them and figure out her best friend's disappearance, but a lot of other stuff starts happening. And this world definitely reminds me of Crescent City by Sarah J Maas, just because it's like an urban fantasy. I know we have some magical creatures. I feel like there's going to be a found family aspect, and I've heard crazy things about this male main character in this series. People are feral for this man. And I want to know, like I'm very curious. Normally I don't get too like obsessed with book boyfriends. Like yeah, I'll recognize like, oh that was a cute line, or like I'll just get really into it in the story, but I'm like, it's not like at the top of my mind. So I want to know what's so special about this guy in this book. Like I just want to know. So that is a series that I will be starting. Yet another series that I will be starting, hopefully, is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I know the sequel to this book comes out at the beginning of 2026, I think in like February. And this is actually the indie copy I got from an independent bookstore near me before it like blew up and got picked up. So I feel very lucky to have this, but I also feel like I suck because I haven't read it yet. I really don't know anything about this and I kind of want to keep it that way. I really want to go in blind to this, although it does scare me that there is like a whole index of like world building lore for the first like 20 pages of this book, which is terrifying, but also the kind of book that I like. Like I love when stuff is in depth and we get a crazy amount of expansive world building. Like that sounds up my alley. So I'm very excited to pick this up. This is probably one of like the top on my list. I don't really know what my like top pick would be to start like right now if I got the choice, but I am very excited to get to this. I've heard really good things. Continuing on with the theme of beginning series, one of the books that I have tried to start multiple times, not like tried to like start reading and then just put it down, but like put on TBRs and still haven't gotten to, is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices series, which I've heard incredible things about. It's so many people's like favorite series of all time, and I need to know why. Like I have been dying to pick this up, and I feel like I've said that about every single book so far, but truly I'm like, I've been preparing for this. Like I've been doing the correct reading order. I've been like mentally in the Shadowhunters world for so long that I'm like, it's time, but like the time also hasn't really presented itself. Like I've been in the mood for it, but I guess just the rest of the world has not been in the mood for me to read this yet. But I think when I start this, I want to try and like read the books back to back. I have a habit of like spacing out books. Like if I start the first book, I will take forever to read the second book, like with Golden Sun and Two Twisted Crowns. It's been forever, you know? And I really don't want to do that with this series because I feel like I will love it more if I binge it. Like I don't want it to be over very quickly. I just want to like be in that world for as like prolonged of a time as I can because I love being immersed in this world. It just feels so real and the characters are so well written and just feel like actual people. So I don't want to make the mistake of like falling out of love with the series when I start it. But it's a highly anticipated read nonetheless. And so next, I technically have 3 books of a series that I need to read, which I have needed to read for quite a long time. And I'm kind of embarrassed that I still haven't read, but I really just don't want this series to end. I just love this world so much and I've tried to prolong it as long as I could. I've been reading this series for about like 2 years, just because I took such a long break that I forgot what happened in like the past 2 installments, so I had to re-listen to the audiobooks and now I'm like caught up, like I remember everything. And I did think about starting these recently, but it just wasn't the right time. I want my undivided attention to be for these books, which I'm hoping I can do soon. I really, really hope I can. If not by the end of this year, next year. 100% next year. I'm finishing this series. But that is the rest of the Throne of Glass series that I have to complete, which is the tandem read of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, which I think is the reason I haven't started this, because I'm very intimidated by it. And then I also will finish it off with Kingdom of Ash. I've heard insane things about Empire of Storms, like it is a whirlwind of a story, and I've heard mid things about Tower of Dawn, but I am a Kale enjoyer. Like I don't really get people's problem with him, and I can see why he annoys people, but he's never been like, I've never had that like deep hatred for him that a lot of people have. So I'm genuinely excited for his book and to read it in conjunction with everyone else's story. So I'm looking forward to this. I just think I'm nervous. I think I'm just really scared, to be honest. And I'm especially scared for this one. Not really because of how large it is, like that doesn't scare me. It's just like, this is it. Then I'm done with Throne of Glass, and I don't really want that to happen. Like I can't picture myself when I have finished Throne of Glass. That's the main reason. Speaking of other books that will put me in a slump, such as Throne of Glass, and low-key break my heart, I have seen so much hype recently around Manacled and Alchemized, which Alchemized just came out at the end of September, Manacled being the Hermione fanfiction that was super popular. And I do actually have this downloaded, so I hope to get to that soon, but I also have really been wanting to read Alchemized. Like, it definitely sounds like something I would enjoy. A big chunky fantasy book with extensive world building. That sounds right up my alley as well. So I haven't gotten a physical copy of this yet. On my next book shopping trip, I definitely plan to. I don't know when that will be, but I'm definitely planning to get it next time I buy books. I don't really know which one I want to read first, because I've seen people saying that like, oh, you have to read Manacled before, but I don't think you need to. I think they are now 2 separate stories, and it's also unfair to the author to like say you have to read this work before this one. So I don't really know which one I'll get to first. It kind of just depends on circumstance and whatever else I've got going on, or like what I end up being in the mood for. But I do want to read both of them and see what my thoughts on each of them are. And that's not so I can compare them, but it's so I can like just experience all the content and kind of just be in the know about it. I just love stories in general, so I want to read them both. So most of this list has been comprised of fantasy books, but we're actually going to switch and talk about some non-fantasy books that I would like to read before the end of the year, which really it's only 2 on this list. There are others that I would like to get to, like a couple romance books or some other things here and there, but these 2 are ones that I'm like, I definitely really want to try to get to these. Like, obviously I want to read as many fantasy books as I can, but I'm trying to switch up my genres a bit, so these 2 are top priorities for sure. The first one is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I'm not really a classics person, but this one is short and I've heard great things, and I've always wanted to read this book just because of kind of like the parallels it has to certain real life events. That's always really interested me, to see how it can be written into like a fictional story, especially with like animals as characters. That's really, really compelling to me. So I plan to like annotate this, like kind of write my thoughts, like make this copy my like interactive texts. I really am interested in doing that. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, and I feel like since it's short, even though the content might not be super like easy or whatever, I really have no idea what I'm gonna get into with this, but I'm just excited to see what I think. And then one I'm also super pumped for, I feel like for every book I've said I'm excited for it, but it's true, I am. That is the book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I got this when I went to Germany in the summer this year. This is the fun like European edition. It's not the US edition, I love it. But I definitely want to read this year just because I got it this year, and I am studying like German language and culture, so I feel like I have like failed if I don't read this, just because it is like essential. I feel like it's a classic even if it's like not really taught or whatever. I just feel like I need to read this. It takes place in Nazi Germany when Liesel, a 9-year-old girl, is living with a foster family on Himmel Street. Her parents have been taken away to a concentration camp. Liesel steals books. This is her story and the story of the inhabitants of her street when the bombs begin to fall. And the novel is narrated by Death, which has always interested me. This is another one I plan to annotate and just really like immerse myself in and just have like a full experience with. So I'm excited. And of course there are other books I would love to get to, but these are definitely like my priorities. These are like the absolute hopefuls. I really want to try and get to as many as possible before the end of 2025. So if you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts, which one you think I should start first, or if there's any I should like wait for, like if a sequel isn't out yet, if I should like read them back to back or something. I would love to know your thoughts and recommendations. So comment down below what you're excited to read for the end of this year, what 2026 releases you might be excited for as well. And thank you so much for watching as always. Make sure to subscribe and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!